Good evening everyone and welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting of the Wellington Shire for the 6th of June 2023. Members of the public gallery should note that Council records and publishes Council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of Council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on Council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate times during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the Council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the Council meeting but who wish to communicate with the Council via the online web form should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please could gallery visitors, councillors and invited online attendees ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Our mission, working together to make a difference, we listen and lead to provide quality services that improve life for all. Wellington Shire Council acknowledges our offices are located on the traditional lands of the Gunai Nation. We pay our deep respects to elders past, present and future and acknowledge their ongoing cultural and spiritual connections to their land and waters. All councillors are present. We have no apologies. Declarations of conflicts of interest. Do we have any? No? And I thought I'd just do a little shout out to the people that watch online. All of these council meetings are actually live streamed. And it's great that our community can actually watch these from the comfort of home. I'd like to acknowledge one particular person, which is Alan Collius, which happens to be Councillor Ma's mother. She has not missed a council meeting and loves to dial in and actually watch. I stress to the whole community, feel free to sit at home in your lounge room and actually watch these meetings. They are taped, but they are live streamed as well, and we love people in the community to actually watch. So thank you, Alan, for watching these meetings. Item 3.1, adoption of minutes of previous council meeting. Can I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the Ordinary Council meeting of the 16th of May 2023 and the unscheduled Council meeting of the 13th of May 2023. Oh, going well. I should put my glasses on. 18th of May 2023. And
that was seconded by Councillor Stevens before Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Happy with that, Councillor Wood?
Thank you.
Item 4, business arising from previous meetings, there are none. Item 5, acceptance of late or urgent items, there are none. Item 6, notices of motion, there are none. Item 7.1, outstanding petitions, there are none. Item 8, invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements. Do we have any? Councillor Crosley.
Just getting standing up. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge that between the days of the 27th of May to the 3rd of June was the National Reconciliation Week, and just to recognise that it was a time that members of the community could share their experiences and work towards a better future and work towards a just, equitable and reconciled country for all. And over that, during that week was National Sorry Day, and that was the 26th of May, which was the 26th anniversary of the Bringing Him Home report presented to Parliament that recognised the forced removal of First Nations children from their families. Ramiak held a ceremony and a smoking ceremony for the first time, and an acknowledgement of the continued trauma that that policy has had on the community. And in the vein of truth-telling, there was two members of the community, one who had experienced being of the stolen generation. And when we speak of that, we sometimes think it's way back in the past. The stolen generation was my generation, and it continued basically through to today. And so it was interesting and very brave for her to tell her experience. And it was sort of purported that that experience was taken away from bad families that were doing the wrong thing by the children. But her experience was she was taken away from a loving family, all the children were taken away, and she was put in a girls' home for 7-8 years She was separated from her brothers, which were put in a boys' home. So they weren't delivered into caring families, they were delivered into institutions which affected them for all of their lives. And when she finally tracked down her family, her mother had died, some of her brothers had died, and she actually found out she had siblings that she didn't even know about. So quite impacting. And another sharing was that somebody who had married somebody from the stolen generation and the impact and the trauma that that has on the family. So it was a very moving experience and a very brave thing for those individuals to share and to participate in that truth-telling. So if anybody gets the opportunity to experience that next year, because they intend to continue that process, I encourage you to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Councillor Marr.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I would like to recognise Volunteer Week, which was the 15th to the 19th of May, and was a series of lunches that were hosted in Yarram, Maffra and Sale by Wellington Shire staff with some help from councillors. I particularly want to acknowledge Melissa, who led the planning of the event with help from Sharon, the communications team, Claudia and Darren, who coordinated all of the media and took some fabulous photos that many of you will be able to see on Facebook and so forth, the socials. And to the team, Lisa, Tracy and the broader community committee team who assisted with their manager, Sam McPherson, who we now know as the Burger Master on the barbecue, because he was the cook and was very successful at that. I don't think there were any burnt hamburgers or sausages. I would also like to say thank you to the guest speakers who took their time to speak to the groups at each location. Kathy Cook of Yarram, Pat Weatherly in Maffra, Heather and David Harrington in Sale. And I'm sure everyone will agree that our volunteers are the backbone of our communities and our shire, and they certainly help in making our communities far more resilient, as well as bringing many positives for each volunteer, as benefits of being a volunteer certainly rolls both ways. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, as everything that they do helps to make where we live a better place. And whilst I'm mentioning Volunteers Week, I would also like to congratulate the Woodside Beach Surf Lifesaving Club members who were successful at the recent awards day that was held at the Seaspray Surf Lifesaving Club. 10 lifesavers were awarded certificates for patrolling the beach this season at Woodside, 7 gold, 1 silver and 2 bronze. And it's a small club, but they've certainly been well recognised, and I congratulate them for that.
Do we have any other acknowledgements? No? If not, I would like to speak on behalf of the Shire about the state budget announcement that happened with the announcement by the Andrews government to close the sustainable native timber industry on the 1st of January 2024 instead of 2030. So basically 6 years in advance of when the original announcement came out in 2019 to blindside everyone with no consultation at all. Words come to mind of disappointing, terrible decision and disgraceful act. Our community has been severely affected by that announcement with no consultation. It's a very poor decision. The promises by the Andrews government following the 2019 announcement have not even occurred. There has not been one seedling planted as a promise from that 2019 announcement. There has not been one job created in the affected towns in the Wellington Shire since that 2019 announcement. The $200 million that was put forward with that announcement still hasn't been spent. It hasn't actually created one single job. The additional $200 million that has been announced with the budget to go through with that decision, again, is poor. It's not enough. It's to retrain timber workers to other jobs. What jobs is there in those towns that have been created that those timber workers can actually go to? In some of our smaller communities, how do they sell their homes? How do they retrain and go to other jobs when they are not there? So it was a very poor decision. Hayfield community, the Today Show actually ran quite a good story. Hopefully everyone saw that story, I think it was on Tuesday. The story that was put through what was brilliant. The Today Show come down to Hayfield. The Hayfield community overnight rallied and actually come together as a community to voice their disappointment as a community, which we support, for that announcement that did come through and blindsided everyone. Our heart goes out to the community members that are affected. There was ranging people there from people that work at the mill. The mill actually shut, and to come show their support from Vince Hurley, one of the owners. The school shut. The community rallied together to show how affected they will actually be. So it was very disappointing to see with that announcement from the Albanese government. As council, we will continue to advocate for the best outcome for our community, and that is to make sure that the Albanese government follows through on promises that were actually put in place that haven't been delivered to actually help with that change. So, a very disappointing announcement. We'll continue to advocate for the right way for our community, and we will be out there to fight what is right. Thank you. Item 9, questions on notice, we have none. Item 10, delegates reports, we have none. Item 11.1, Assembly of Councillors report. Do I have someone to move that, please?
Mayor, I'd like to move that. I move that Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillor records for the period 8th of May 2023 to the 28th of May 2023. And
seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Happy with that?
Yep.
Item 11.2, Remuneration Committee minutes. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Mackenzie.
I wish to move that Council 1. Note and receive the minutes from the Remuneration Committee meeting held on the 2nd of May 2023 as attached, and 2. Endorse the actions from the Remuneration Committee meeting held on the 2nd of May 2023 as detailed in the attached minutes.
Seconded by Councillor Tatterson. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Mackenzie.
All good, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 11.3, reviewed appointment of committees and delegates 2022/2023. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Rossetti.
I move the councillors be formally appointed to the revised council committees in accordance with the updated 2022-2023 register as attached.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Rossetti, happy with that? Item 11.4, S11A, Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation, Planning and Environment Act 1987 only. Justin Gorwell. Someone to move that, please. Councillor
I'm happy
Marr.
to move that, Mayor. I move that Council, in the exercise of the powers conferred by Section 224 of the Local Government Act 1989, the Act, and the other legislation referred to in the attached S11A Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation, the instrument, resolve that 1. Council Officer Justin Gorwell be appointed and authorised as set out in the instrument as provided at Attachment 1, and 2. The instrument be signed by the CEO.
And seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. This is a legislative requirement when there is a new appointment, so we certainly welcome Justin to the role.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Item 12.1, Council Position Statement, Renewable Energy. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the position statement on renewable energy.
And someone to second that, Councillor Wood. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. This is due to the timing and the rapidly changing landscape of the renewable energy in Gippsland, and specifically in the Wellington Shire, with the potential of $40 billion planned investment, that it was important that Council make a policy statement so that it's a clear indication of where we stand both for our community and for proponents, both current and future, and also for the various agencies, both state and federal, because all of those spheres are involved in this new energy sector. Certainly this stems from the consultation and the decision that we made in the Council Plan 2021 to 2025 that renewable energy, that climate change was a clear number one priority for the community and is reflected in our Council Plan and community vision. So this policy statement fits very neatly within that priority, both, as I say, both with the Council and with the community. It was also highlighted that we need to make this policy statement or position statement after the Council adopted the Wellington Renewable Energy Impact Study and Readiness Study, and this study clearly outlines the vast both positives and potential difficulties that may be ahead of us to manage this new development, and also the various views that may be differing in the community. This study has been well received both within the industry and the various state governments, so they know what to see, and also I really encourage that the community should read this in consultation, with the position statement there. And the position statement is quite, like some of our strategies are quite long, but this is quite a succinct policy that clearly outlines that we're supportive of the industry, but we want to make sure that the best outcome is for the community and across the community, that there are established legacy community benefits and infrastructure projects for the broader community, and that there's meaningful community consultation, and also that there's the local ports are given priority in development, and there's opportunities for skills development, training and education, and so our community can actively participate in this new energy that really will transform the industry that's in Wellington Shire. So I really encourage the community to have a close look at it, and it clearly states that we are supportive and engaged in this sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crosley. Item 13.1.
If I could just quickly add, there'll be an announcement that the building will close to the public in about 3 minutes, but just to remind people in the gallery, we're certainly not going to lock you in here for the night. You'll still be able to exit the building when you choose, but just that announcement will be made in a couple of minutes, Mayor.
And there'll be a follow-up one at 5:30 as well, so we'll have the two. Item 13.1, unused road licence road off Munro, Stockdale Road, Munro. Someone to move that, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Ripper.
I'd like to move that Council, pursuant to Section 400 of the Land Act 1958, give notice that Government Road between Lot 2 on PS 5 44411 and CA 2A, Section C, Parish of Nerang, is not required for public traffic and is therefore an unused road.
And second by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Ripper.
The property owner of 551 Munro Stockdale Road, whose property abuts side of the government road, is seeking to obtain an unused road licence over the government road from Department of Environment, Energy and Climate Action, referred to as DECA, and has requested Council determine that the road is unused and not required for public traffic. The road is not listed on Council's Register of Public Roads. The road is not maintained by Council under the Road Management Plan. DECA application process requires applicant to publicly advertise the proposed and to seek confirmation from Council that this government road is unused, is not required for public traffic prior to the granting of an unused road licence, and there is no community impact. The road is unused and fenced within the applicant's property. The road has been within the farm enterprise for over 100 years. Engagement impact, the public notice, the prescribed format was printed in the Gippsland Times 14th of April 2023 as required by DECA, and has advised there is no subsequent objections were received. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Bearing in mind we're actually 5:19, we might just wait for a little second, because any second now there should be an announcement before we continue on. It's like a minute's silence, yes, but hopefully it's only a matter of seconds. It is 5:20 and they haven't done the announcement, so we will continue on, and I'll just pause when it does actually happen. Item 13.2, Special Hearing Report Objection, Special Charge Schemes, Allen Avenue, Seaspray. Someone to move this, please. Councillor Tatterson. Just one moment.
Thank you for visiting the Port of Sale. The building will be closing in 10 minutes. 10 minutes, everyone. Thank you.
Carry on, Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council receive and consider the report from Submissions Committee in relation to the Allen Avenue Seaspray Special Charge Street Construction Scheme and, having regard to the written submission objections opposing the proposed street construction scheme and the Submission Committee findings, that the proposed special charge street construction scheme for Allen Avenue Seaspray has been prepared in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act 1989, Council determined that the objections should not stop the scheme being considered for adoption, and items 3 and 4 as written in the agenda.
And seconded by Councillor McKenzie. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. The objections, there were 2 objections received to the proposed special charge scheme, and the Objections Committee of Councillor Marr, Councillor McKenzie and myself heard those objections with the officers present. However, the recommendation of that committee is that we continue on with the scheme, and that report is in the agenda for anyone who wishes to read it.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Item 13.3, Special Charge Street Construction Scheme, Declaration of Scheme for Allen Avenue, Seaspray. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just whipping through this. Thank you. I move that Council, having considered all submissions received and taking into account all objections lodged, and having complied with the requirements of section 163A, 163B and 223 of the Local Government Act 1989, the Act, and otherwise according to law, and having, so far as can be ascertained from available records and can reasonably be concluded, ascertain that Allen Avenue, chainage 00 to chainage 400, and Davies Street, chainage 350 to 470 in Seaspray, or any component of the streets have not previously been constructed by way of a special rate or charge, hereby proceed to declare a special charge scheme under section 163(1) of the Act, in accordance with the declaration of special charge attached to and forming part of this report, such declaration being for the purposes of constructing the street and providing ancillary works including driveways, crossings and culverts, and items 2, 3 and 4 as written in the agenda.
And someone to second that. Ooh, I'm going to go Councillor Ripper because you two are a dead heat. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you. It's a really important process that we're going through to see some of our unsealed roads in Seaspray being sealed. So we hope that with the construction of Davies and Allen Avenue, some of the other residents within the town of Seaspray will see the benefits of being part of these street construction schemes and hopefully come forward and we could do the balance of the unsealed roads in Seaspray, which from our experience with Port Albert, it transforms the town. So we certainly appreciate the officers' effort in bringing this forward to a point where we're now able to have this scheme progress.
Well said, Councillor Tatterson. Item 13.4, special hearing report objection, special charge schemes, Longford Central. Someone to move that, please. I believe, Councillor Tatterson, you're going to do these.
Thank you, Mayor. Just zipping through, I'll do it for now. I move that Council receive and consider the report from Submissions Committee in relation to the Longford Central Special Charge Scheme, Street Construction Scheme, and having regard to the written submissions objections opposed in the proposed street construction scheme and the Submission Committee findings, so that the proposed special charge scheme for Longford Central has been prepared in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act 1989, Council determined that the objections should not stop the scheme being considered for adoption, and items 3 and 4 as written.
I think second by Councillor Wood then. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. And similar to the last one, Councillor Mark, Councillor Mackenzie and myself heard the submissions, and I note that one of the people who made a submission is in the council meeting here tonight, so welcome along. But after taking into account those submissions and also noting that the majority of the people that were in the scheme supported the scheme, it's proposed to move ahead with that scheme. And the report is in the council agenda.
Can I ask a question?
If you would like to come up to the lectrum and just state your name, yes, you can do that.
Trevor Cawthorne. Are you doing High Street in that scheme? Hello? Yeah. Are you? You weren't originally. The High Street was not originally in that scheme.
Chris, if we can reply to that.
So, thank you, Mayor, through the Mayor. So, we're doing the first section of High Street, just adjacent to, I can't think of the street name, Spencer. So, Spencer for about...
It's 20 metres, which stops at my lemon tree. It doesn't even go down to my garage.
It goes to about the edge of the property now, so we've modified the plan slightly.
What about the other end of High Street? Up the other end, because they wanted it.
Look, I'm not sure. I'll have to take that one on notice. But certainly this end of High Street, we modified the plan slightly to go to the edge of the property.
Because I can't see the point in not do it. If you're going to do it, you might as well do the whole lot once and don't go back.
Yeah.
Do the whole. You want to do the township of Longford? Do the township of Longford, and High Street is a part of that township. Whether you recognise it or not, half to half you recognise it, and the other half don't recognise it.
I'm happy to take that on notice, but there were properties that were not part of the scheme, but we can take that on
They didn't want it, but people around the back didn't want it. Denise Hennessy didn't want it. Yep. But she's got to have it, so the rest of them, if some of us have got to have it, we're all got to have it.
When we look at the street schemes, just a quick explanation, we require over 60% of the affected landholders to actually want the scheme to go ahead. If we don't get that, as Councillor Tatterson explained, we've had a few circumstances. We've gone and done street schemes. People see what the result is, and then the community actually changes their mind and wants the street schemes. So it's then for people to advocate for us to come back and do the street schemes that are much more like we've done in Coongulla. A lot of people there didn't want the street scheme. They saw the first stage and went, that's a fantastic result. And then they approached us to do more in that township. So we hope that that happens in our community, and Longford will be another example.
There's 6 houses in this that don't want it. And to me, you do the whole scheme, you still got to send a grader out there to grade that road for 6 houses. I just can't see the point. You either force them to do it, or you don't do it at all.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Well, you're forcing me to do it. I didn't want it. So you're forcing me to do it, so why can't you make the rest of them do it?
It's not how the scheme works.
Well, you're forcing me.
Thank you. Item 13.5, Special Charge Street Construction Scheme, Declaration of Scheme, Longford Central. Someone to move that. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, having considered all submissions received and taken into account all objections lodged, and having complied with the requirements of Section 163A, 163B and 223 of the Local Government Act 1989, and otherwise according to law, and having, so far as can be ascertained from available records and can be reasonably concluded, ascertained that streets within the Longford Central area or any component of streets have not previously been constructed by way of special rate or charge, hereby proceed to declare a special charge scheme under Section 163(1), of the Act in accordance with the Declaration of Special Charge attached to and forming part of this report, such declaration being for the purposes of constructing the street and providing ancillary works including driveways, crossovers and culverts, and items 2, 3 and 4 as written in the agenda.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Certainly the
We'll just pause again. Don't be alarmed, remember, you can actually get out.
Right, thank you, Mr Mayor. As Mr Cawthorne's indicated, there are sections of the Longford Township that were excluded, and the scheme was reduced in area from a whole of Longford Township construction to an area where we received 60% support, so that the majority of the residents in this part of the scheme actually supported the scheme. So while not everyone supports the scheme, the majority have actually supported that. So for this particular one, it is probably disappointing that when we go to Seaspray, or in this case when we go to the Longford Township, that we haven't done the whole of the township, because that would certainly, to me, provide a better community outcome. And we will now have to go back to Seaspray or to Longford and grade sections of gravel road. But unfortunately, we didn't get the level of support prescribed in our residential road and street construction program, so we're doing smaller areas, and we would expect that in the future some of those other residents will notice the benefits, particularly when you're on tank water out at Longford there, of having sealed streets where you don't have the dust and you'll have an improved amenity. And we would expect that in the future people will come forward and be asking us to come back and seal the balance of those streets. Unfortunately, whenever you're doing works of this nature, not everyone gets the result they're after, but the majority of people in this certainly supported the street construction program. So, and I congratulate Council on moving forward with this program.
Thanks, Councillor Tatterson. Mr CEO, any online comments?
Not me.
Okay, so we've got a few people in the gallery tonight. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and address Council? Just state your name and try and stick to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors, for this opportunity to speak. My name is Veronica Barnes from Rosedale. I think you're getting to know me now. I live east of Rosedale, near the border of Wellington and Latrobe Shires. Recently, I've started attending council meetings, as you know, to keep up to date on local matters and see how council works whilst showing my interest as a ratepayer. I wish to congratulate you once again on how you conduct your meetings in such a professional and concise way, something that Latrobe could learn a lot from. So tonight, I believe that the Mayor is now a mind reader. He has just read my mind, because I've got a couple of concerns. Firstly, the early closure of that timber industry that you mentioned, and I thank you for that report you gave. What I want to know is what Wellington Council are going to do about this matter. I would like to call upon this council to release a statement to the media condemning the actions of the government and outline the human pain and suffering now inflicted upon our local communities. It seems that we are now going to import timber from Indonesian rainforests, which is an unregulated industry and something that should alarm all climate activists. My second concern is the abolishing of reciting the Lord's Prayer prior to council meetings. What is the reasoning behind this? I'm not sure when Wellington Council decided this course of action, but I would like to know why. The Lord's Prayer is a universal prayer which includes acknowledgement of a higher power, highlights the need for meaningful relationships and how to live effectively in community with one another. The sentiments expressed and guidelines given in this prayer are central to all faiths, and that is to treat others with care and respect all forms of life. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Veronica. If you just want to I think I have your details, so I'll be fine. We actually did a media release. I'll shoot that out to you before you get home,
Great.
Which you'll probably be quite happy with, and we'll respond to your other question.
Okay, very pleased to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anything else from the gallery? Yep.
Trevor again. I'd just like to know what is going on up the end of Hobson's Road in the old gravel pit. You've put more gravel and drainage and stuff up there, picnic seats, tables. What is it?
So unless Chris can answer, we'll take that on notice and we'll respond to Mr. Corporal within 7 days, because I'm not sure.
Yeah, certainly.
Surely, yes, sure. There's more gravel and drainage up there than been in Spencer Street for 30 years.
I might direct that to Chris.
I've got a bit of static.
No, that's the CEO's.
CEO's, okay.
Yeah.
Certainly, there's a bit of improvement work on the reserve happening around the bench seats and so forth. I can give you further detail later, but there is some work being done in the reserve just to make some improvements to the space.
But for who for? No one's going to use it. No one will use it. I can back it in.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, I'll talk to you. I have some other concerns, but Chris and me are going to sort them out.
Okay, yeah, if you can follow up with Chris, fantastic. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the gallery that wanted to address councillors? No? Okay. We need to go into closed session to consider a council report, so...
Mayor, I'm happy to move that the meeting be closed to public pursuant to section 66(2 of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider matters under section 66(5)(b) as defined by section 3(1), being G, private commercial information, being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, 2, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage.
Moved by Councillor Rossetti and seconded by Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Thank you, everyone in the gallery. If you could please leave. You still...